Hello everyone! Greetings dear Aristobats, fellow immortals and mortals yet to be claimed by the night. Welcome to this lady's humble abode. Today we'll be exploring Oliver Fogg's side story. Yes, it's finally time for the British boy to take the wheel and show us what he's all about. Oliver is actually one of my favorite characters in the game. He was one of the first I wanted to get, but I got him quite recently, so I don't know much about him. And here is my chance to find everything I want out, or at least part of it, because based on what I saw from Charlie's story, they're not really giving us as much as I would like them to about the characters. But yeah, every little info is fun to me, because I'm a writer, I love movies, I love games, I love stories, like, give me content. I don't care what the content is about as long as it's of my favorite characters, you know? Let's get to it. So here he is, the story of Oliver. Let's go. The Prison of Fog. So yeah, this is one of the few things I know about him, that he comes from a big family of arcanas that control the fog. But I don't remember any other details besides that, because I read it when I first got him and then didn't search much after that. I wanted to build him first. But something tells me it's gonna be sad, because so far every other arcanist we've seen that comes from a big family, yeah, they don't have the best kind of life before joining the foundation, before developing their own powers and all. Yeah. What lies beyond the exquisitely crafted cage of mist. Oof. I can remember when it was that I began to hate the fog. The city, forever shrouded in fog, prompts the overwrought comparison between Sisyphus's endless struggle and our own. The fog that covers this absurdity and unsightliness is like a bell jar imprisoning a cricket. Beyond those invisible, intangible borders lie the jeering faces of the gods. They drain every ounce of vitality from the cricket, dispatching the fog as their most faithful instrument. And so, the cricket turned its head to find this thick fog everywhere, up, down, left and right, all around. No escape inside, no perceptible boundaries. Even its cry would be lost in the fog. That fog, as viscous as snot flowing from a runny nose, enveloped the cricket to the point where the poor wretch couldn't even make a sound. It rubbed its wings in vain, attempting to make even the slightest noise, but the only thing that filled the air was the fog and its silent ridicule. To this day, no one has responded to its players. In this thick fog, there is only silence, the silence of death. That's what it does, this fog. It invariably forces the individual to face their certainty of their own demise. Walking in this endless fog, with no end in sight, surrounded by a cage of untouchable wire, where even the most furious strikes have no means of finding their target. The only thing one is allowed to feel is extreme loneliness, and that deadly still. We, walking through this dense fog for the sake of our so-called mission, might possibly be the most pitiable crickets of all. How long has it been since I last saw the sun? Oh, Vertin is in this. Oliver Fogg. Sorry, Miss Vertin. I lost myself for a moment there. What were we talking about just now?
Okay. Then...
That we hoped you would aid our cause 2 days from now. With the enemy well hidden and within the fog, determining their location will be no easy feat. It looks like we'll be counting on you and your arcane skills to succeed. The day after tomorrow? That's a holiday, isn't it?
Yes.
It is indeed. Before I offer you a response, Miss Vertin, allow me to ask a question. Who was in the proposed I joined you in this operation of yours? Mr. Knight? And what if I were to say I was the one that chose you, recommendations notwithstanding? Deception is not your strong suit. It's entirely obvious that you were covering for him.
I don't work overtime.
You know for a fact that I'm not the kind to work on a day off, and based on your personality, which is, shall we say, conciliatory in nature, you would never have proposed such a plan. So then, a suit of armor put you up to this? Am I right? Perhaps. But what would to suspect him in the first place?
I'll get it sorted soon.
Miss Verton, I intend to direct a formal complaint towards Mr. Knight. Please don't. I haven't met him yet. Allow me to come straight to the point, Miss Verton. I would be more than willing to help you in any way, merely due to the goodwill we have fostered through the course of our acquaintance. However, my principles will not permit me to sacrifice my hard-earned time off merely for the convenience of others. He has boundaries. I will provide you with any advice you may require, but my practical assistance is out of the question. So then, this is your latest experiment in reformist rhetoric? Not at all. It's a manner of I said this word 100 times, I cannot pronounce it. It's a manner of, you can read it yourself, that's in use since Chamberlain's day. I'm sorry.
It's fine.
Look, I won't try to force you, Oliver. I'm merely here to discuss the matter with you.
All right.
Then I thank you for your understanding, Miss Verton. If there's nothing else I can help you with, I will take my leave. There's work I've yet to finish today. Why does his pacing sound like a clock?
Someone is reminded of some things in the past.
What someone is... Oh, okay. What kind of voice am I giving you? What someone is about to recount to you is a sworn testimonial of a face-to-face run-in with a dark spirit, a bloodthirsty creature of undeath someone encounters a chivalrous knight long, long ago. Oh, so the knight is going to tell us his story? Oliver's story?
Brilliant! I love this story. I mean, Miss Sotheby knows she's definitely going to love this story.
Someone came across a long abandoned castle with a close friend while journeying the countryside one dark night. She's already scared. Sonetto! The forest around the castle was a mire-shrouded, eerie mist, and someone was traipsing right through it, birds tramping on rotten leaves and kicking up the most vile, putrid stink of rancid soil mixed with the damp stench of decay. But our destination was not far off. It almost reached the castle gate. Oh, Eagle is here too. Everybody's here. Suddenly, someone and that faithful friend spied a shadowy figure up ahead. He was slammed askew against a tree, seemingly unconscious. Back then, someone was still a simple-minded knight. Someone stepped forward and went heedlessly over to the side of the mysterious figure. As everyone leans in closer, listening ever more attentively to the knight's story, another figure passes by.
I'll get it sorted soon.
I can confirm that there are no problems with the work plan. Everything seems to be in order. The schedule is a little tight, but if we proceed accordingly, we can still finish all work on time today. Someone tapped him on the shoulder, but he didn't budge an inch, and someone tapped him again. He suddenly lifted his head to reveal a ghastly, desiccated face with black holes where his eyes should have been. What?
I got it!
Miss Sotheby knows. It must have been the chupacabra. If only the truth was so simple. As soon as we saw that living corpse, someone and someone's good friend knew right away. In the depths of the castle lay a terrifying, treacherous, blood-curdly banshee.
An evil spirit? What a surprise! All the spirits Miss Sotheby has met have been most cordial to her. Though, to be fair, I have never had the misfortune of meeting a thirsty one before.
I'm clear.
That's a good point. They might be a bit on the quirky side, but Poltergeist and Click are good souls. I'm stuck because I'm trying to remember Poltergeist. Who's Poltergeist? Oh my goodness. Why am I so stuck? Anyway, I can't remember. Excuse me, please. Some of us have work to do.
Oh, this way, please. From my side, over here. Mr. Fogg, Mr. Knight was telling us about his past adventures just now. In fact, he was right in the middle of a very interesting story when you came in. Would you like to stay a while and listen with us?
I'll pass on the ghost stories. I'm very busy. However, I feel I must caution you, ladies.
Huh?
There exist people in this world whose mouths are incapable of speaking the truth. Not only do they spin their yarns boasting about what has never truly transpired, but they may even shrink the responsibilities and force minors to carry out their work for them. Someone doesn't even have a mouth, although someone has been wondering for some time now, how does someone even speak without anything with which to speak out of?
Through the magic of your arcane skill.
I knew this was going to happen.
Huh?
Timekeeper? You came to visit too. Did something happen to Mr. Fogg today? He appears to be in quite a foul mood. I don't think he's very happy about his having to work outside his schedule. I see. Dang it, I'm almost there with Oliver's voice, but not quite. I'm losing it. Like, at first I got it and then I lost it. It's a day that everyone deserves, but maybe it never really comes. So he won't rest, he will come with us, eh?
All this because Mr. Knight's proposed a mission plan that requires working through his day off? Does Mr. Fogg really hate his work that much? If you really dislike a job, then why not quit? To be honest with you, I've never understood the way Oliver Fogg thinks.
Maybe he's dealing with issues that he's not able to readily share. I don't even remember her voice to do that. I'm not playing her, I'm sorry. Timekeeper, perhaps you might try negotiating between Mr. Fogg and Mr. Knight?
No.
It's best if we let the two of them sort this out on their own. I believe Mr. Knight will find a way to figure this out. He seems friendly. I don't think he will create any more issues. Maybe there is a reason he told him to join us. It goes without saying that you didn't have labor laws in your era. Naturally, this sort of modern dalliance was neither fitting for someone's era nor for the profession of a knight. Sir Knight, times have changed. We have no need of knights in our time. What we do need is an 8-hour workday and no mandated overtime on holidays or weekends. Oliver, you seem to forget this era is in a state of decline. But surely even our present decline will not regress us back to a time without labor rights and holidays, right? We all need to adapt to the changing of times, Mr. Knight.
Yes.
Too true. Someone needs to learn to adapt to the times. This is why someone has always wanted to change into armor someone might consider to be more in keeping with the times. A more dazzling color, perhaps. By the way, do you think pink would suit someone at all? Yes, Mr. Knight, please turn pink. Honestly, I wouldn't advise it. Then how about stickers? Someone heard Miss Regulus say that someone could receive complimentary stickers upon purchasing baked goods from the market. Someone happens to be quite interested in several of these stickers. Imagine sticking them on someone's sword and armor. How splendid would that be? However, someone clearly lacks the ability to consume such a copious quality of baked goods alone, or indeed at all. Therefore, someone hopes to entrust the task of devouring the surfeit of biscuits to you on someone's behalf. Biscuits, really? Don't change the subject. I won't be bribed by your biscuits, and I expect my complaint to be taken seriously, Mr. Knight.
Someone hears and obeys.
Oh? Oh! Sorry, someone is listening, Oliver. What is it that you are complaining about?
I don't work overtime.
Mr. Knight, I'm but a child, yet I am forced to work, and as such, you must respect the few holidays I have. I would ask you to please refrain from making suggestions to Miss Vertin that may lead to my being forced to work overtime. Holidays? It seems someone might not be so well adapted to this time just yet. After all, when it comes to a night and the things it is one's duty to do, there are no holidays.
I don't work overtime.
If you want to work overtime, that's your business, Mr. Knight. I, however, have always refused any unreasonable request to work overtime, especially during holidays.
Someone hears and obeys.
Someone understands what you mean, Oliver. Someone will strive to respect your rights. You to see my complaint wasn't a complete waste of time. Oliver Fogg pulls out his pocket watch once more, glancing over the time as if to appear casual. It then freezes in place, like a carbuncle eagerly emptying cans, only to find its secretly stashed dust gone without a trace. What is it? What's wrong, Oliver? You seem
Forgive
somewhat...
someone for asking.
What's wrong, Oliver? You seem somewhat distressed.
Huh.
My plan is in tatters now. What? My work plan's a mess. There's not enough time to finish all my tasks. Is it because someone has taken up so much of your time with this issue of yours?
Huh.
Your continuous interruptions certainly have not helped. I never expected my record of not working overtime for 211 days straight to end today. Excuse someone for asking, but where have you been assigned to work today? A forest near the box. I need to ensure we maintain a good vantage point there, so that if the box is attacked, we can react in a timely fashion. Is there something you'd like to ask me? No, of course not. Only caution, Mr. Fogg, that the forest isn't safe at night. It would be better to head back early.
All right.
Thanks for your concern, but my work takes precedent. I can fend for myself. Someone has said that no one goes to the forest at night, therefore even if you complete your work and clear the fog, it may not necessarily be of any use.
Huh.
Mr. Knight, do you believe that the work of the fog walker is to absorb the fog, to keep it at bay? Someone has always believed this to be the case. Is there some flaw in someone's understanding? The true responsibility of the fog walker is to make the people believe that the fog is under control. As long as there is a fog walker, people will believe that the fog is being dealt with. No one cares about how much fog a fog walker can absorb, how it all works, or what a fog walker's purpose really is. Making people believe that the fog is under control is a fog walker's true responsibility. Based on this principle, I must ensure that my working hours align solely with my duty as a fog walker. Someone has just thought up the perfect word to describe you. I know what you're trying to say. In this kind of situation, we commonly refer to such people as bureaucrats or pencil pushers, those that do their duty to the letter of the law and nothing more. However, to a civil servant like myself, this term might be seen as a form of praise. Farewell, Mr. Knight. I must leave now if I have any hope to finish my work today. Sorry, Mr. Knight. Someone does not see any reason for you to apologize, Miss Vertin, but... Didn't you tell him? I haven't had a chance to tell him yet.
So that's what happened.
I see. Miss Vertin, someone has suddenly remembered another urgent matter someone must attend to. For now, I must bid you adieu. As you wish.
What happened?
Oh, Mr. Knight, won't you tell us the rest of the story?
Sorry, everyone. Someone has an urgent matter to deal with and must leave immediately. Please forgive my uncouth and abrupt departure.
Thank you.
Aw, is that it for now? Thank you for sharing that wonderful story, Mr. Knight.
Doing Sotheby is fun. That sounded wrong. Dad jokes. Oh, we're meeting his father? Okay. One or several corny, boring jokes. Oh, he's that type. Let's see Dad Fog. Well, that's everything done, more or less. Let me check my work schedule.
All right.
Good. Then I can clock off now. It's not that noticeable during the daytime, but as soon as night falls, this where it becomes excruciatingly quiet. I hate places that are this silent. It reminds me of the fog I have to immerse myself in almost daily, where even my shouts and cries for help are swallowed up by this bedeviled fog. What's this? It's too dark to see clearly. Critters! And they're attacking! There's even more of them than I'd feared. And there's no kind of natural shelter around, as they put, eventually surround me. Fortunate I absorbed quite a bit of fog while working this afternoon. It should still be usable. So this my reward for all that hard work. No, I shouldn't think like that. But work's the reason I ended up in this mess. Looks like there are fewer enemies in that direction. I think I just might break through that way. A dense fog pours out from above his umbrella, quickly enveloping the surrounding area. That was an hour escape, all thanks to the fog. At least it seems there aren't as many creatures around here. It's too dark now, and with the fog, I couldn't even make out what kind of critters were attacking me.
All right.
I need to rest for a bit now. I'll figure out how to get out of here once I catch my breath. Fogwalker, are you right, my young friend? Oh, I see. You know, guys, once a knight, always a knight. He feels like he has to protect him. I get it. Also because he considers him a friend, I guess. Are you truly so surprised to see someone here, Fogwalker? Mr. Knight, did you think of me, Dullahan? Or Dullahan? How do you pronounce this one? Or else what other vile thing did you see as to elicit that reaction on seeing someone here? I thank you for using the word surprise instead of panicked regarding my reaction. I've no interest in shaming your reaction, Fogwalker. Well then, Mr. Knight, what brings you here? Someone had the sudden impulse to play the part of a stone in the forest, see? Someone's disguise is quite perfect, is it not? Even your keen eyes failed to detect someone's presence amid the moss and trees. Don't you think it would have been even stranger if I'd managed to notice you there? Because the night is so dark. Mr. Knight, this kind of banal joke is what we commonly refer to as a dad joke. I haven't heard a line as terrible as that since my father passed. Oh, rather never heard such a thing again. Please forgive me. Someone didn't mean to stir up memories from your past. Someone deeply regrets having upset you, sir. Come now. It was a long time ago. Don't really care much about it anymore, anyway. In that case, perhaps...
Forgive someone for asking.
In that case, perhaps you might tell someone more about your father? Someone who's quite interested in the previous Fogwalker. You want me to tell you about my father? I'd rather not. I can't think of a single thing worth mentioning about him. He was an ordinary man, the most ordinary Fogwalker. Fogwalker who died in the fog. The failure of a father. Ooh. He hardly ever spent any time with my mother and me. Every single day, if he wasn't busy working, he was studying the arcane. And it was only when discussing arcanism that he would display a demeanor alike to an arcanist. He spent his whole life studying and striving to push arcane techniques of the fog family forward, hoping to adapt them to the fog we now face in the modern era, but ultimately, it led him to his demise. Ironic, isn't it? I can scarcely remember what he looked like anymore. The only thing about him that left any sort of lasting impression on me was few dad jokes he made around the dinner table. Terrible, tasteless jokes. But he was a Fogwalker, and there was only one Fogwalker in all London. People have attached a great deal of import to the title Fogwalker, but in my opinion, a Fogwalker is not much different from a manure scooper. Devoting yourself or even sacrificing yourself for the sake of your so-called responsibilities, there is nothing more foolish in the entire world. I'll never live my life the way my father did. He was bound by the title Fogwalker, but I won't let that happen to me. You admire your father greatly. Someone can feel it. I do not. When I was a child, I wanted to become a Fogwalker too. So yes, maybe then I admire my father greatly. But things are different now. It's only because he used to... He used to what? Damn it. None of his creatures ever catch up with me. Dark shadows rush out of the depths of the forest, encircling the area before there's time to react. Yet more shadows emerge from the forest depths, like smoke spewing from factory chimneys, thick and relentless. It appears we found ourselves in something of a predicament. Oh. Are we gonna fight? Yeah. Ooh, I gotta try the knight. I've never tried it before.
3 hours, 15 minutes left. No, nothing. Let's move on to the next.
I saw an inside too there and I'm quite panicking. I'm afraid of a fog. That's right. The fog walker responsible for dealing with London for the problem is in fact terrified by it. Is there anything in the world more ironic than that? I'm afraid of this thick fog that devours everything. Voices, wishes, fate. But the majestic figure ended up being swallowed whole by the fog. That was when I was a child, before I became a fog walker. My mother turned her head for only a second and I snuck out of the house. I wanted to embark on a great journey. My destination was Highbury Stadium. Arsenal was the best team in London at the time, and every child in London dreamt of becoming a player. I was no exception. I wanted to go there, to Highbury Stadium, and join the team. I was fantasizing about the running around Highbury in a full Arsenal kit, imitating the movements of the players, completely oblivious to the fact that I had deviated from a path. That was when the fog came. First, a thin and almost invisible mist began to suffuse the air. It was like a clever thief, stealing all sense of direction and setting me on the wrong path. Then another wave of thick fog came, rushing in that completely obscured my view. With a wicked smile, it set me apart from my dreams. It told me that I would never go anywhere ever again, that I would remain in this dense fog for my whole life. Finally, the dreadful clinging, sticky dark fog arrived. It destroyed the last remaining sliver of my courage, imprisoning me where I stood, leaving me unable to move so that all I could do was stand there, crying and praying. Yet, no matter how much I cried, my voice couldn't penetrate through the dense and clinging air. After destroying my dreams and my courage, at the last it stripped me of my fragile rights as a human. The fog gradually turned black from end to end. It sought to rob this cage I was in of its last remaining light. It wanted me to fear it as though it were fear itself. The pitch-black, brutal fog hung just the way it does now. Why are there so many critters? Something's entirely wrong here. Someone did tell you that this forest was not safe at night, Mr. Fogg. The fog walker pauses for a moment, then came to a sudden realization. So that's why you're here. You came to protect me. No, of course not. Someone simply came here to play the part of a talking tree. You're not following your lies, Mr. Knight. I've caused you nothing but trouble, Mr. Knight. Please accept my apology. My stubbornness dragged you into this mess, and I feel just awful about it. You are the second person to apologize to someone today, and someone's response is still the same. There's no need for apologies, Sir Oliver. I've never seen this many critters before in my life. It's beyond me. The indistinct mass of shadows piled together surrounds the two of them. Critters cover every inch of ground a meter away from them in all directions, trapping the two of them where they stand. Are you trembling, Sir Oliver? Just like that clawing black fog, a wicked pitch-dark mass that seems to have no end. Fog, a heavy dense fog, a terrifying broom from which not even light can permeate.
Forgive someone for asking.
Are you afraid, sir? Would you show fear to the enemy standing before you? Anyone would be afraid to face as many enemies all at once. Countless critters fold in around the two of them, blend into the dark forest, making it impossible to distinguish their type as they approach. The swarm seems endless, emerging incessantly from the depths of the forest, expanding and filling the space around them. But for some unknown reason, they refrain from launching their attack, instead simply forming an even thicker ring.
Someone is reminded of some things in the past.
This reminds someone of the battlefield someone once stood in mere moments before being slain in combat. Someone was surrounded by an equally large number of enemies then? No, indeed, take heart, there were perhaps a dozen times more than this. Mr. Knight, it's all because of me that you've had to put your life in danger once more.
I'll get it sorted soon.
I take full responsibility for my actions, good sir, and I shall do everything I can to help you escape. The young man takes a deep breath and opens his umbrella once more, preparing to take on the endless dark mist. However, his trembling hands and legs betray him. There's simply no way we can handle this many enemies. The only thing I take solace in now is the fact that at least Miss Vertin was aware of my intentions. Now, all we can do is pray that Miss Vertin realizes the two of us are missing and comes looking for us. The fogwalker's voice trembles slightly.
Someone is reminded of some things in the past.
Someone remembers something rather fitting. Someone once had a close friend with the exact same name as your own. That name used to be one which someone often called. Someone went through countless challenges with his friend, sharing both glories and suffering together. Oh, wait. No, I misunderstood. There's no way. Back in those days, someone was but a reckless boy. But thanks to that friend, someone was able to grow into a true and worthy knight. He saved someone's life several times too, even though someone dragged him into trouble on countless occasions. As someone looks back on it now, someone cannot help but feel remorseful. Sorry, this rusty old armor is full of useless memories from long ago. You and someone's old confidant are indeed very similar. Every time someone sees you, someone can't help but think of those adventures from a past life.
Thou hast someone's admiration.
He was an excellent, intelligent, and level-headed fellow, just like you. Are you having a laugh at me? Someone's command of irony as a rhetorical device is far less sophisticated than the perfect proficiency you modern Britons seem to possess. Perhaps you should learn to have more faith in yourself. Although you're still just a child and immature in many ways, one day, someone is sure, you will also become a great knight like he was. But I'm no knight. Someone remembers you saying only this morning that knights were a thing of the past. Perhaps your musings hold some truth. However, someone believes that the spirit of chivalry shall never die. Were his bloodline knights? Is that what he's trying to say? And you truly do have a spark of potential to become a knight. It's a nice sentiment, but I'll never be an Arsenal player or a knight. Being a fogwalker is my sole calling. Just like my father and his father before him, and his father before him. This is a fate of all the fogs. All my hopes and dreams are trapped, never to be set free. Trapped in that unconquerable fog. Unconquerable, eh? There is nothing in this world that is truly unconquerable, Oliver. That notion certainly is pleasing to hear at the moment, but if things were the way you said they were, why would you? Sorry, I've let my emotions get the better of me. Death may be an end, but it's not the end for us, Oliver. How about someone tells you the story of Oliver in kind for your bravely speaking about your father? Someone's closest friend, the story of Oliver, the knight. Are they still surrounded by critters at this moment, or did they hide? Because this would be a little ridiculous to happen while the critters approach. What happened to him? I apologize, Sir Knight. I'm asking pointless questions. He's still a child, dude, and he refuses to be a child. He died. And it seems he was not as like as someone else. He was not granted the gift of returning to the world, born into a new identity. But he'll never truly die. So, is it really indeed somebody just called also Oliver, or is Oliver supposed to be a reincarnation of the knight's friend, hence why he's so attached to him?
Just as planned.
I hope they don't leave us hanging. I find the combo of these two quite interesting, because the one is supposed to be an old Brit.
3 hours, 15 minutes left.
Because one is supposed to be an old Brit and the other a new Brit, right? It's interesting. It's like he's protected by an old person from his country. If it turns out that he's a reincarnation, I'm gonna cry. I'm just gonna say that. Someone served with Oliver in our liege's army, and it was during one particular foray that we were ambushed by the enemy. To cover the retreat of our main course, someone, along with Oliver, took on the duty of forming the rear guard. Our enemies were legion, and there were but 12 of us. we had to fight without rest to buy time for the others' retreat. For a knight, Oliver was not much of a fighter. He had always used the better talents of his mind and his eloquence with words to accomplish his ends. You could say his methods were very much the opposite of someone's own at the time. Nevertheless, Oliver fought without fear and hesitation. In order to protect someone, he blocked dozens of attacks throughout the course of the battle. Someone witnessed him fight to the very last with someone's own eyes, and even at the bitter end, someone found himself receiving his steadfast protection. Someone still remembers the scene vividly. See, this amplifies my suspicion that Oliver Fogg is actually Mr. Knight's friend reincarnated, because you see how he's trying to protect him now? Maybe he does it because he feels like returning the favor, I guess. Or maybe, out of nostalgia, like if he's not really a reincarnation, maybe he does it because Oliver reminds him of the knight named Oliver, and that's it. He lauded peace and glory, calmly accepted his fate, and fought until the end. Someone's resistance with Sir Oliver ended in our deaths. Though we fought tooth and nail, we could not defeat the overwhelming strength of the greater thousands of men set against us. But we succeeded in our mission. We successfully held the enemy long enough for our main force to retreat to safety. In view of this outcome, the sacrifice someone made, along with the sacrifices of all who stood beside us, was well worth it. Someone sometimes wonders why someone was the only knight resurrected from the fateful battle. Someone has even asked if God knew someone had witnessed the deaths of 11 braver souls that day, why still the lesser someone was alone brought back. Survival guilt.
Thou hast someone's admiration.
Upon reaching this line of thinking, someone feels new purpose. Someone is no longer simply living for oneself. Someone witnessed the last moments. Thus, someone is duty-bound to preserve the glory of the names and achievements of this world. I don't understand. I don't understand why you're doing any of this. Why would you fight on knowing full well that you stood no chance of survival? Even with such a clear understanding of your inevitable fate, seeing clearly that death was the only ending available to you. Death is like walking into an invisible fog, no end in sight, no boundaries to reach, naught but silence to hear, to speak, no matter how loudly you wish to scream. I don't understand how you could all walk into that fog so calmly. Just like my foolish father. Foolish. Perhaps so. However, Oliver, some things are more important than one's life. This is our duty, our responsibility. I've heard enough. You turn your sacrifice and responsibility to virtues, and then march blindly into that fog. Did you ever stop to consider what those that stand outside of the fog have to go through? I hate you all. I'm not even supposed to be here. I'm just a boy, but because of your dreamed-up notions of purpose and responsibility, I was forced to become a fog walker. Oh, wow. He said of your... If he said your as if he was addressing to his father. Did I read this correctly? Wait a minute. Yeah, it's like he's talking to his father. I never wanted to walk amongst the fog. I'm terrified of it. I just want to stay alive. To fear death is never something to be ashamed of, Oliver. But if death is the only way we can achieve something greater than ourselves, we must bear it with honor. Something greater? The suit of armor doesn't answer. He slowly draws his longsword, which he had previously thrust into the ground. It feels as if in this moment now past they had forgotten they are still surrounded by critters. So they are! All this conversation while the critters are away to attack them. The critters be like, huh? Fight! Not talking! See? They're annoyed, like you've been ignoring us! Like an endless midnight fog, the terrifying creatures encircled us like rushing tide. We fight! It's like they attack 2 or 3 critters, and then they start talking, and they go back to the critters. Too much talking, I guess. I mean, Mr. Knight had enough time to tell Oliver a whole story while surrounded by critters. That was a little too much.
Very well. The enemies don't seem to be in the habit of wearing gas masks.
You know what would have been better? If he was sharing the story with him while hidden somewhere. Not in the middle of the field, you know? Oh, more, there's more now. Huh? What just happened? There was this strange lag that after killing the critters, another 3 critters popped up, and then it went back to the cutscene, and I was like, so were those supposed to be fought? Or did they just drop as extras and like a lag? Anyway. What's going on here? Are these critters afraid? Oh, did they back up? That's why this happened? Suddenly the old suit of armor lifted his longsword, and a dazzling ball of light began to bloom from it.
Thou hast someone's admiration.
Someone has seen this before. Someone has seen the light that can never be forgotten, the light that bestowed someone with courage and faith. Don't forget this light. Let it burn into our memories, Oliver. A suit of armor swung the long sword in his hand with renewed strength, bringing it to bear, blah blah blah.
His trumpets sound.
Oh, it continues, okay.
The judgment day has come.
Oh, we continue, okay, it wasn't a bug. The brilliant light exploded in a starry burst, piercing through the black fog like burning rays of sunlight through shadow. And the black fog, which once seemed boundless and invisible, revealed itself to be more cowardly than a trembling mouse. It retreated, no, surrendered to the light. Wherever the light touched, the fog burned away, leaving only the bodies of critters behind. All that could be seen in the forest was the light of the sword blazing like the dawn. Only then did I realize the number of critters surrounding us to be far less than I had imagined. They were afraid of us and had on the nerve to launch an offensive. Oh, okay, so the team is smart. Because I was like, seriously, they had so much time to tell stories while surrounded. Like, if we took this not story-wise, like structure-wise, execution-wise, it was a bit too much time with them staying idle. But if they were afraid, then it explains it. Smart move, Blue Book. The night and the fog had only magnified my own fears. I shrouded the monsters again in a thick blanket of fog and fled without having to lift a finger to find them. Then, that cold steel armor rested gently upon my shoulder with a motion reminiscent of my father's before he left. Hope is greater, Oliver. The light from his sword was a sunlight piercing through the fog of my memories. I suddenly remembered. I remembered why I wanted to become a fog walker. Step into the fog and break free from your prison. I strayed from the main road and wandered into the fog. I wept, but the thick fog swallowed up my prayers for help. All that I felt was fear. The black fog enveloped me, almost devouring me. Just as I reached my limit, a majestic figure strode out from the depths of the fog. Holding a huge black umbrella and wearing a tall top hat from another time, he approached me with steady, composed steps. His father came to save him. The hopeless black fog howled desperately, struggling futilely to flee from his presence. But to no avail. No one was better dealing with the dreaded black fog than he. He walked toward me with purpose, with warm, hopeful sunlight rising from within him, penetrating the depths of the fog and casting its light over me. This majestic figure arrived at my side and gently placed his hand on my shoulder. Oliver, let's go home. He spoke to me softly. At this moment, I finally understood what it meant to be a fog walker. The fog walker is one who steps into the fog and brings light to others. Fundamentally, it's a job like any other, mundane as tightening screws or scooping manure. But that's not all it is. My father once walked through the fog to bring me hope. On that day, he did the same. This is my responsibility, and it is our responsibility. The hand that had gently rested on my shoulder withdrew in silence. He donned his top hat again and stepped back into that fog. The same voracious fog that would devour him whole. In the same way, he found me in the fog and brought me hope. On that day, in 1952, he also brought hope to the people of London. The hope of survival. Found myself weeping, the tears falling beyond my control. Aw, he misses him. Excellent work. Oliver, let's go home. Someday in the future, Will I be able to bring hope to the world just like you and my father? Yes. Someone firmly believes that the day will come. Or have you already forgotten someone told you of your potential as a knight? A fog walker is a knight, I get it. Okay. He wants to save lives. Time off in lieu. He will come with us. With Verton. Here he is. Good morning, Miss Verton. Good morning, Mr. Fogg. Will anyone say anything, please? For real? Is there anything I can do for you, Mr. Fogg? Not really. It's only that I remembered something. What is it? It's not really worth mentioning. It's just, You've taken on the title well, Fogwalker. Oh? Please don't concern yourself with that sort of thing. Actually, I came here for another reason. The day before yesterday, you mentioned an operation planned for today, one that required my participation. Yes, I recall you refused it at the time. What I mean is, if you could, compensate me for my day off in some other way, then I might, that is to say, it's not possible for me to, make an exception and take on another shift. Is that so? Well, the thing is, the matter has been resolved. Resolved? To be precise, on the evening of our conversation, you and Mr. Knight appear to have walked together to resolve the issue. When? Wait, you mean those critters? Yes. We received word about a horde of critters in that forest known to attack humans. Those critters would usually hide in the forest fog during the day and only strike at night. Therefore, I had hoped that today, during the daytime, you could absorb the fog to help us locate the particular critter horde. And why not at night? I seem to recall you having school tonight. Thank you, Miss Verton, for so kindly respecting my rights to education. Oh, you wanted the day off to study, dude. Since you and Mr. Knight already handled the critter situation, there is no need for you to remain at work today. I can't help but feel something is amiss here. That's right! What about Mr. Knight? You told me he would be unable to participate in today's operation for some reason, but that night he and I defeated those critters alone. Today Mr. Knight has taken the day off. Oh. He's a sneaky one. A day off? Correct. He told me he wished to spend the day paying tribute to his fallen brothers in arms, men who chose to make the ultimate sacrifice in order to give hope to others. Miss Verton. Although I still hate the fog and the other fog walkers just as much as I did before, I feel as though I understand them a little more. Perhaps there is something I can do to put an end to the fog of London. But if I evade my responsibilities and duties like this, then I'll surely be depriving myself of that hope. The hope my father died trying to preserve.
I'll get it sorted soon.
Vertin, I'm determined to clear the fog in London, not only as a fog walker, but also someone who has seen the glorious light of the sun. I want to become someone who can clear the fog and bring hope to others.
All right.
To this end, I intend to study hard and secure a place at the University of Cambridge. And what motivated you to make this decision? I believe that compared to pursuing a life engaged in arcanism alone, it would be better for me to become a cabinet secretary, guiding our nation's politicians in the formulation and regulation of our nation's laws. Miss Verton, why are you looking at me so strangely? Is there some unseen flaw in my plan? No, Oliver, there's nothing wrong with it. Perhaps it's only that your plan is so fitting for you that I'm at a loss for words. And I shall feel honored to have your approval, Miss Verton.
All right.
Anyway, I'll say goodbye now. I haven't finished my work for today just yet. Goodbye, Mr. Fogg. By the way, there's one more thing I wanted to say. Thank you, Miss Burton. Oh, you blushed! Oh, yes, and please convey my gratitude to Mr. Knight for me. Please tell him that perhaps I will never become a knight, but I will not rest until I become myself. Oliver Fogg, the Fog Walker of London. Okay, so that was Oliver Fogg's story. My initial theory shattered, obviously. There is no connection between Oliver and Mr. Knight. They just so happen to have these similarities to the stories, like Mr. Knight had a friend named Oliver who was very smart but not a very good knight, and Oliver happened to have a father who believed in his duties as much as Mr. Knight did. Now, story-wise, I believe it's also a little better than Charlie's because it had a beginning and an end. With Charlie, I felt we were shown some part of her personality, and that's about it. And then the way the story closed with Jester's question had me wondering if I was supposed to figure out the ending message by myself. It's not that Charlie's story wasn't clear in any way. I just feel this story has a beginning and an end, whereas the other one just showed us a part of Charlie's story that... Anyway, I won't say much about Charlie because I want to make a separate video for it, but I don't know, it was... Oliver's was more linear, like beginning, middle, end. Charlie's was more like we're in the middle of something and we get to know about Charlie and a little bit about Jester. I liked it. And I like Oliver even more now, I guess. I mean, I already loved him, let's be real. I love this little boy, protect him at all costs. This game does this a lot for some reason. I don't know if it's Chinese, because I know that in Chinese culture, if you're Chinese, you know that better. There's a strong sense of following tradition in a way, and the way parents are expecting their children to follow some successful business. It is to ensure their future. The strictness of Chinese parents seems to be only to ensure their children's futures. Of course, there will be exceptions. They exist in every country. Strict parents exist in every country. But because the game is Chinese, I'm mentioning that perhaps this is the reason they place so much emphasis on families and how each character has to find themselves without completely discarding tradition. Yes, going against it, because sometimes the ways of the old are too rigid, and don't let the kids fly. Future generations have to obviously evolve with the times. They cannot stick to the patterns of the parents. But in order to move forward, it seems that the game promotes the idea that you also have to keep part of your roots with you. We also have something similar saying in Greece, a city without a past has no future. And I think this also applies to humans. Like, we all come from somewhere, and the people we'll become depends highly on our experiences. If those experiences were bad, we're supposed to become stronger from them, like learn lessons from them and become stronger so that we don't repeat our predecessors' mistakes, I guess. And if they were pleasant, to learn to repeat that in the future and see how we can share that with more people. Even if it was bad, though, the lessons you learned you can share with other people too. I'm just saying, there is this pattern a lot in the stories in reverse, I see. However, Oliver's approach was a little different, I guess, because unlike other kids we've seen so far, you see that his denial, his attitude, stems from repressed anger, yeah, because his father was not there for him as a kid. In general, I mean, most of the time he was out there fighting for the future of other people and saving people. But he had this one moment that his father came for him when he was in need, and he realized the importance of his father's job. And this was the time also that he wanted to be a fog walker as well. Obviously, it was his duty to do that, let's be real. Like, from my understanding, his becoming a fog walker was pretty much inevitable. He had to follow his father's path. But I'm thinking that more than inevitable, it's like, you know like who it is? Matilda. Matilda also was, in a way, supposed to follow the arcanist way of her parents, but she too wanted to be a good arcanist. Oliver is the same thing. At this point, when he was saved by his father and realized why the father wasn't coming home as much. Despite his anger, he felt warmth inside and that he wanted to follow the same path. And just like Matilda, he embraced that role and wanted to become better than his parent. Okay? Again, Matilda is a little different, but in the same way he wanted to become better. I mean, he reminds me more of Matilda than other characters. But yeah, I like so much what reverse writers do. These characters are complex, and you might think, oh, it's not that of a big deal. But listen, you could have games that have badass lore, amazing fantasy world, and an engaging story, but then you find their characters being flat. And this is not what Reverse does. Their characters are very much alive and very complicated, because they could casually say that, you know, Oliver forgot about his anger after his father saved him. But you see that like a boomerang, like it came back when he died because he didn't get to spend enough time with him. And the Mr. Knight helped him remember that there was a point in your life that you didn't hate him, that you had grown past your anger and admired that man. You wanted to be like him. And all that anger came back because you missed him, because you were sad, because out of everything, like Oliver said, he had forgotten his reason for being a fog walker. He was just doing his job because he had to. It had become a routine. And that can also be a sign of depression after losing somebody, like grief, I'm sorry. Grief is the word I'm looking for. So yeah, after all this time, he took up what his father had to do while dealing with his grief of losing his father, and after it became a routine, he forgot the reason he wanted to become a fog walker in the first place. So this is so good, like it really reflects real human emotions, this back and forth of your emotions, getting lost in your grief, and perhaps remembering only the bad. Like Oliver didn't have many chances with his father, but this was a pivotal moment that got lost in his grief and regret of not having enough time with his father. And this is so well written in my eyes. Very good work. However, I still have questions about Mr. Knight, and I wonder if they're going to make a separate side story for him or not, because now we know how he died, right? We know part of his backstory through this whole thing. I want to know if his actions were indeed because he wanted to be, Oliver like he said, he reminded me of his friend alone, or if there was more than that. Perhaps it's just this. Perhaps because he reminded him of his friend and also had the maturity to understand emotions better than Oliver, he felt like maybe I should help that kid out. But maybe there's more, I don't know, maybe I'm overthinking it. But I do wonder what we're gonna see in Mr. Knight's story, if there's ever going to be one. Because I think Mr. Knight is a 6-star, right? I think he's a 6-star. So probably his story had already been here before, I'm not sure. Like I've said before, I came into the game during Tooth Fairy's patch with a lake. So I don't know what happened before that. But yeah, even if there isn't more depth, I think it was an excellent little story and I liked it a lot. Yeah. That's all I had to say for now. I think I shouldn't have analyzed it this much because now I will not be able to have a separate video for Oliver, but it really told us a lot about the character and I really liked it. Anyway, let's wrap things up now. My throat is killing me, but it was all worth it. I tried to do as many voices as possible. I hope they sound well during the edit. But yeah, if you made it this far, thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please do consider liking, subscribing, and hitting the notification bell. I wish you a wonderful week, and that your favorites come home before you know it. See you next time. Bye-bye!